Hey everyone, Dan here. We are during market hours on Wednesday, June 2nd. I wanted to do a check-in on Skillz, SKLZ, with its big run-up today. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And let's jump right in. So we're going to take a look at a couple of things. One, the chart to sort of like decipher some of the price activity. And then I'm also going to shoot over and we can take a look at the short data because we've been looking at Skillz for quite a while because there's heavy short interest and they've had a fee that's been creeping up a bit over time, and both of those factors themselves can lead to a short squeeze. The big thing that you need to put together in order to successfully squeeze is a bunch of green days, and with today's huge move up, I thought we'd take a look and see what the potential looks like now based on there already having been huge short positions in Skillz. So here's the chart. This is actually, I can explain what this is. So this red is a stop loss zone. This purple is a bounce zone. I was actually looking, before this news came out today to see if Skillz would come down and bounce off of this zone again, sort of test near this previous bottoming out here. For potential dip buy opportunity. And then, if it had bounced there, I was going to look at this white box as, sort of like a watch closely kind of zone because of the previous topping out here that we saw, and then sort of previous support and resistance at this area. But now it's, so it's like in this white box because of the news that it put out today and skyrocketed up like 20-something%, I think. I had price targets on it already of this 23.50 and 29.58, so I would obviously keep those in play. I do think there's a good sort of mid-range on this as well, if that was something that folks were looking for, sort of like a mid-range price target. I'd put it somewhere right about here, just in the $26 area, mid to upper 26s, if you wanted a stop along the way. And then I would put us well into the 30s if it can continue to rally up that strongly. Obviously, it's pulling back a little bit right now as the day is progressing, but those are my upper price targets as I was looking at them previously, so those would still certainly stand. If we want to look at the day itself, this is what it looks like. I want to keep the chart preserved because I'm going to be using it, but you see it actually hit a little bit of resistance toward the top of the white box that I had drawn, and now it's coming back to sort of settle into this. So this could be a good level for it to establish support for another push up. And so I was looking all day for, earlier in the day, something around a $19 dip when it was down here. I was hoping I would get it to dip down to like this area or even this area for an entry point, and as you see, it just didn't. And so it rocketed up here, so I'm sort of still keeping an eye on it to see, what the potential is for an entry point. That said, it having run up well over 20% at this point, you don't just want to chase, you don't want to FOMO into something like this. That can certainly leave you high and dry as things kind of settle down. This is a pretty steep downtick right here, but if it can hold basically, this positioning here, that's going to basically flag out there around 230, which right now it's 208. So coming up soon if it's going to make a push out of there. And then that might be, I might take that potentially as a signal to hop in. This alone isn't interesting because of the chart to me. So let's pop over to the short squeeze or the short data that sort of has given me the idea for quite some time that a squeeze could be in play if certain factors can come to pass. So 30.88% of the float is being shorted. That's as of May 14th. I'll show you in a minute. I think we have reason to believe that a bunch more shorts have come in since then. The fee, which is the other thing we look for, so look for a high percentage of the float being shorted. That puts shorts in an overextended kind of position. And then we look for the fee to be as high as possible. Something like SoFi that we were looking at, that was 261%. So this being in the 20s and 30s isn't, nearly anything like that. But if the stock can continue to even sort of move sideways, if the fee gets to 40, 50, 60%, that can put enough pressure on the shorts to feel that they need to close, can trigger a short squeeze. But if it keeps putting together these big green days, I mean, these shorts are losing a lot of money today, especially if they borrowed the share down at, who knows, $17, $15, and now they're looking at having to buy that back in the 20s, plus having to incur this fee on top of it. So, we do see that earlier in the day, so this is time-stamped every 15 minutes, there was a bunch of shorts that came, that closed out their positions early in the day. That's why there's more shares that became available. But then some folks retook positions, but then we've seen some steady closing out through the midday, and now they're starting to potentially borrow some again. The fee came down a little bit, so that might push some folks back in. Plus, them seeing this wildly green day may make them sort of confident, maybe overly confident, that it's kind of a no-brainer to throw some shorts at Skillz. If we look at the data on market beat, let's just get to the short interest. Here we can see, the dollar volume getting very high, $1 billion being sold short in Skillz, and huge change from last month to this month. So over 17% uptick. They have the same float percentage being shorted. So these are all really good factors for potential squeeze. Look at all of this huge increasing in short percentages, reporting date over reporting date. They're lengthening out their days to cover, 3.5 right now. And, so that's pretty interesting. And so folks borrowed these shares around $13, $14. And now they're staring at a price, pretty solidly into the 20s at this moment. That could get pretty dicey pretty quickly. And, this is a lot. 73 million plus shares having to be bought back in and covered would potentially kick off a really, really solid short squeeze. So to me, the factors that I'm going to be looking for is a couple of things. One, I would love to see this fee double, get closer to 50 as even just a starting point, and then maybe continue to tick up. That'll put a ton of pressure on. We need the green days to continue. Okay, so we've fallen out here, so there's definitely a lot of pressure coming on to sell out. I have no doubts. I'm not going to pretend that this is all short selling stuff. I'm sure that a bunch of folks are lacking in profit. I mean, look, it hit 23 on the nose and then started to dip back down. So, I mean, a bunch of folks probably just had a price target in mind, or just sort of check back and they're like, oh, this feels really overextended. I better come in and lock in my profit. But we could get a little bit of a bounce here. I'll just sort of lay out some of the catch zones that I'd be looking for that might give us a bounce. Who knows? Maybe I'll get that 19 that I was looking for. This one right here is the most interesting to me of any of these. That doesn't mean anything. It could certainly hit one of the other ones. And then this one is really interesting too. So those two bottom ones, 1945, 1906, to me offer the strongest levels, compared to this one and this one. Yeah, though this one, it could sort of give it a nice bounce off as well, but we'll sort of see. But anyway, what I was saying was the factors of the short squeeze as I would see it, we need the green days to continue on. So literally on the daily chart, we want to see, following up today with another green day, even if it's relatively minimal, would be a really, really good sign, in my opinion. And then the other thing that we want to see is the fee coming up, like I said, and then on the daily, see this short volume ratio ticked up a lot yesterday, the highest by far from anything in this column. And so there was a ton of shorts that came in to the market yesterday with Skillz, and now today they're being met with this huge, huge run up. So it's quite unfortunate timing for them, but talk about putting a lot of pressure on immediately. That's basically going to be a big part of the reality that those shorts are dealing with at the moment. So putting together another back-to-back green day, I think, would be really, really impactful. Especially as we see what this short volume was today. If they continued to sort of double and triple down in order to kind of try to even out their position as much as they could, give themselves a fighting chance. But who knows? But that's what I would keep an eye on. Like I said, still looking for a place to take a position in this one. It'll be interesting. Maybe we're getting some sort of strength coming in here. We'll see. But yeah, hopefully that gave you some ideas, some things to look into for yourself to figure out if there might be something here to be had. All right, well, I appreciate you watching. I'm going to be keeping my eye on any short squeeze potentials, as you probably know if you follow the channel, and this one is pretty high up on the list at the moment. All right, well, thanks a bunch for watching. I hope you had a good day, and I will see you in the next video.